Just like that, Chef.
We're live.
Kinda, yeah.
Well, in our world.
We're live, yep. Hey, if you're watching us, you're probably thinking about drinking some wine with us because this is a virtual tasting we do every single week. Old North State is our sponsor, although we're on your back porch today, Chef.
So we're an extension of the Old North State Winery today, and since all of us have a part of ONS in our heart, it's only right that we have some in our home.
That is so sweet, Chef.
I'm telling you. Well,
So
thanks
sweet.
for participating in the best idea that you'll ever have this week, which is drinking wine virtually with us.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong when you go right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a true story.
Yeah. So, this is the rightest thing as well. And we are going to taste two beautiful wines. If you're going to taste with us in person, we'll have four. Boy, that's a long cord. Come on, baby.
Well, there's French, I tell you. They take it seriously, don't they? You gotta
Yes.
love it.
Oh, yes.
You have to love it.
Well, we're going to start off, like Chef said, in France. We're in Chablis,
Thank
which
you.
is part of Burgundy, the northern part of Burgundy. This is on an ancient seabed of 150 million years, rather. And there's lots
quite
of
a difference.
Yeah, they've got a little seashell on there just to kind of reiterate that. There's fossilized shells all over Chablis, oysters, etc. And
All sorts of invertebrate.
all of that really leads up to a great minerality in this region, and that's why it's so beloved, and that's why they don't really mess around with the oak too much, because they don't want to get in the way of, listen to this bird.
I know, isn't it great?
He's trying to overtake our show, Chef.
Well, it is a beautiful bird.
He's
And
kind of
his
fat.
friends. Well, and in their defense, I got a new bag of songbird. And they see
so
it,
you're
and I
attracted
haven't
them.
put it out yet, and they're like, I think they're complaining.
They're complaining.
Because they notice the
they're
colors.
hungry.
So every couple of weeks, I bring one home, and they're smart, and they see the colors. They see it there. They're like, what are you doing, son?
Yeah.
Put it out. We're hungry.
Let's go. Let's get this. Well, this is from the place for Chardonnay, 100% Chardonnay, and like I said, unoaked. It's going to be stainless steel, and absolutely precision when it comes to Chardonnay. Séguineau Bordeaux is the producer. They've been doing it since the 1500s, and this area has been cultivated with vines since around times of Christ or just past that. So we have a rich history. Even documentation isn't that great back then, but as far back as 1200, it was pretty much documented how much of this wine was sent into Paris, which isn't too terribly far away for the kings and queens to enjoy. And so we have a royal quality grape here, Chef, that we're getting to enjoy together.
Well, I think that this is a very fitting selection. As you were the king here. This is an incredibly polished wine.
Yeah, this is actually.
I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, so there's four. You have the four levels of Chablis. Petit Chablis, which this is. You have regular Chablis, which is the larger, more broader area. Petit Chablis is about a little less than 2,000 acres. And then you have Premier Cru and Grand Cru, which are much smaller regions in terms of acreage. So Petit Chablis happens to sit up on the plateaus where the other Chablis tend to have a slope, and slope plays a finished product a little bit different than these that are on
They
the
struggle a little more, don't they?
yeah. So better drainage too on the slopes. But this is a great idea of what you're going to get into as you progress through the ladder of Chablis, and hopefully one day you'll have some of those finer ones in your mouth as well. But let's start here at the most basic of Chablis. But boy, the most basic of Chablis is wonderful.
And I think you're just. I think it could be terminology could be misleading to the folks who don't that really know.
Oh, because petite, the word petite makes
well,
it
not
sound
only
dainty.
that, an entry level Petit Chablis would be a mid to upper tier Chardonnay anywhere else in the world, in my opinion. I mean, the polish and the finish on this is, you know, and
It's
coming
beautiful.
from a house that's
Oh, yeah.
600 years under their belt,
Yeah.
you know, you're not really, even though it's entry level at this in that region,
Sure.
not really indicative of the qualitative nature of this throughout.
Absolutely, chef. This is no knock on it by any means. It's just,
But our geeky terminology can sometimes be misconstrued. That you know, this is
Sure.
still a world class. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, this is a great food wine. It's incredibly large for Petit Chablis. So even within the Petit Chablis, you know, denomination or brand, or I guess qualitative level, like you're talking about, this is pretty freaking huge for Petit Chablis.
Huge, and the minerality comes through. You know, not a ton of acid on this, but you know, enough. I mean, you get a little tingle.
It's sneaky.
It's sneaky, but not overwhelming. But I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that the weight of it, they're kind of looking for the weight more than the acid. It's going to lend itself well to being a foodie wine.
There is absolutely a great weight to this, and wow, the minerality is something special.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of almost like a waxy fruit to it, which I wasn't expecting from this. The first time I had it, I don't recall tasting that, and there's like an extra layer of richness. Of course, this bottle has been tempered for about 20 minutes, and I might have had it ice cold the first time I had it.
Well, that's a good point, and you know, normally when these do come out for the tasting, that is the case, and it's unseasonably warm today to boot.
Yep. So when you're, I'm good. So when you're talking about drinking your white wines, I want you to do that little experiment yourself, and when you open a bottle, try it ice cold or out of your wine refrigerator, and let it temper a little bit while you're drinking it, and see how the evolution can change, how the wine can change texturally, and different fruit flavors can kind of pop. It's really interesting. I'm trying to get this even a little bit warmer, because I want to see how it goes too. Just right here while I'm tasting along with you, because I do feel like I have discovered something since the last time I tasted it, which was a couple weeks ago.
Well, and that waxiness just gives a coating on the palate that is, you know, gives it this wine a lot of stamina, which is super refreshing on a bright mineral wine that it has that staying power. Really impressive.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. Really, really complex. What's not to like about this, Chef? Holy cow.
Well, I'm telling you, I mean, and I don't normally go for the second pour, but I mean, this is doing it for me. This is, I like this region. I like this style. And you know, I've had the Grand Crus and Premier Crus from these regions, and they are mind-blowing. But they require a lot of thought. And, you know, it's almost a guilt to just drink them, because you want to study them. You want to appreciate every nuance because of their stature and their cost. But this you can just drink and enjoy, and it's just lovely and world-class, but you don't have to, you know, put your cap on.
That's right. And, you know, you were talking about those Grand Cru and Premier Cru. You've actually had they actually have a Four Cham, and you love that Jadot Four Cham.
Oh, that Jadot. I mean, my goodness.
Four Cham is a Clément, a very small area that is part of the, you know, they know that area so well over thousands of years. They can really just pinpoint very small areas of these Chardonnay vines, and they can tell the difference between each little patch in the tapestry of Chablis. And Four Cham is Chef Chris's one of his favorites, as well as mine. And this is a great producer as well for different levels, like I said, of that. But this will give you a really good idea what they can provide to you for under $25, where you know, when you get into the premier and crew level, you're talking more like $100 a bottle.
Yeah, I mean, entry level Premier Cruise,
Yeah.
$100.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get up there in the $500-600 range easily.
Mm-hmm.
But even the
You know why those cost so much, Chef?
because they're worth it.
That's right. Because people are going to buy them because they're delicious.
And I think I told this story. I don't mean to repeat myself, but I mean that Jadot. Actually, you and Brennan and Becca had gone in on a bottle of it.
Yeah, we were trying to expand our
And
palates.
we had gone in on bottles of other stuff, and I didn't know y'all had gone in on it. I was leaving, and I walked out onto the deck, and y'all. I was like, oh, wow! And you're like, hey, you got to have a sip of this, and so they were kind enough. And I was just peeling off 20s for a sip, and I had a sip of it. Got in the car and left, and I actually stopped at the end of the parking lot, and I couldn't drive. I mean, I pulled back around and came back up on the porch. I was like, are you kidding me?
Right. I need another one.
And I did need another one. But I mean, I also just wanted to talk about it. I mean, I was like, I was floored. I couldn't drive.
Mm.
It was so incredibly
That's
delicious.
the power of Chablis. Well, I think
Well,
I've
that's
got,
the power. I mean, in Jadot, I mean, they've probably been around just as long as any.
they are the biggest producer in Burgundy.
They
and
know
they've
what
been
they're
around
doing.
a minute. Yeah.
They know what they're doing. What do you think's in this donut box? You think it's donut?
It doesn't look like donut, Chef.
Well, welcome to the world of supply chain issues. And so we're doing our tastings out of donut boxes now.
Yay.
But they are high-end donut boxes, and they're microwave safe, and they're sealed.
Mhm.
How would you like to have some rare seared yellowfin tuna with rainbow trout caviar and 3 seaweed salad with this?
That is gorgeous.
Would
You know what
that
I'm
would
gonna
that
do?
appeal to you?
I'm going to break this little guy down.
Well, we'll get more.
Look at that. So that everybody can see. Well, I'm sure you've already seen it at home because you've already picked up your box. But for those of you that are not
Look at
getting
that gorgeousness.
these pairing boxes, this is what you're missing. I mean, you still get this incredible entertainment from Chris and
Well,
I.
I mean, which is priceless.
Priceless. But you're missing out on this.
I mean, come on.
And look what's coming up next. Holy cow.
And a great story.
But
to
look
go
at
along
the
with it.
look at the row here. Absolutely vibrant, intense.
Stunning.
Look at how
It's
the
stunning.
sunlight comes through that.
It's stunning, and the pearls are large, and you're going to get so much richness and salinity, which is going to really set the minerality of this wine off.
I don't doubt it.
And so the mineral in a large format caviar, you know, the creaminess of the upper echelon, Kaluga, Beluga, Savluga, etc., that's going to be reserved more for the creamy Chardonnays. But the large format caviars like this rainbow trout, and this is not the smoked version, Chef. This is just the standard. Not that there's anything standard about it, but it lends itself more to a mineral-based, unoaked Chardonnay than do the other styles. And of course, you know, is that not a beautiful seaweed?
Oh, it's
And so
pretty.
it's like
Yep.
it has 3 different varieties, and so of course the mineral and the seabed's going to love the brininess of seaweed, and the richness of the tuna is going to carry all of this home. So this is just a real upscale pairing with this super upscale wine that Chef Ed's picked out. So I mean, it's deserving. Both are deserving.
I tell you, considering that Chablis is you know essentially sitting on what was the ocean at one point, it's perfect.
It's a good
Absolutely perfect.
coastal pairing.
It's like you've tied the whole timeline together from 150 million years ago to today, with a beautiful pairing here, Chef.
Well, and Chablis has a sense of place, like all regions do, and so we wanted to honor that with something that honored it. And I just love the contrast that the caviar gives to that fatty tuna. I mean, not so much fatty as rich. You know, tuna can be simultaneously lean and fatty, which I know is counterintuitive. But you know that the protein really gives it a leanness. and so the caviar to me lends a fat that it really needs, and the seaweed gives it the salinity to kind of wrap it all up.
Beautiful.
Beautiful wine, beautiful pairing. What fun!
Mm. Wow.
I would like to just have either of each.
That is over the top. Absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Well,
Kind of like,
gorgeous wine.
you know, Chef, we're kind of on the tail end of recovery, I guess, from the past weekend.
Well, that was something, wasn't
where
it?
we had our Autumn Leaves Festival, which was, it was a blur.
It really was, wasn't it? I mean, looking back now, I mean, in the trenches,
Mm-hmm.
it was a challenge. We talked about this in our video last week about, how Ed and I approached the staff for preparation. It's more mental than physical, and just having the pieces in place. And I feel like it was our best. It was our best festival in terms of thank you, in terms of having everything in place so that thank you, so that the staff wasn't. I didn't hear one stupid question the whole time or like calamity,
Right.
because things were in place. And for us, I mean, I think that's as big of a win as anything, is that have the staff being comfortable with the menu and the setup and what everything is and what we're doing. And so that was a very rewarding experience to see it go that well. But boy, oh boy, Saturday tested us, didn't it?
Did.
That was hard.
Yeah, they tested.
Saturday was hard.
It was interesting that, things started really popping at 11:30.
Mm.
And I remember just looking up, and it was 4:30.
Yeah.
I was like,
It
what
was
just
a
happened?
blur.
Yeah.
And it was the cycling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just an
Relentless.
endless cycle. It was relentless. It was a relentless cycle, and I'm so proud of everyone. What really ruins a weekend like that is stagnation. I mean, when you can't produce, and it's a double-edged sword. And so proud of the guys that we were able to just pump out food. But of course, I mean, that raises the pace and that pushes the wait staff. But it flips the tables faster, and it does, everything. So I mean, on one note, you're really proud that you did that, and on another note, it's like, at the end of. Like, I didn't want to be pushed that hard.
Yeah, it's
and going from normally
you couldn't live like that.
Well, and we kind of live in the opposite world. We're fine dining. We want to slow everything down. I mean, the purpose of what we do is to. I mean, Ed and I's mantra is slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. Enjoy the wine, enjoy the food, enjoy the company, and then you have to turn on a dime and be a saloon for 3 days. It's hard.
Yeah.
But everybody stepped up to the challenge.
At times, it felt like cowboys were kicking in the doors, like at the saloon.
It was
like in the old
really,
cowboy movies.
absolutely.
Where they kicked, the door was moving like that. People
like
just
that.
barreling in.
It was nonstop.
There were so many people too, Chef, that also had no idea there was a festival. They were coming to see us, and they're like, "What's going on here?
What is all this?"
They didn't know anything about it. So we had approximately 300,000 people in the downtown over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which, if anybody out there knows how small our town is, that's a huge number for a town of our size.
But the entirety of our town, and the town is bigger when you walk it, the entirety of our town was covered in tents and people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's 6 blocks, plus all the side streets other things. I mean, it was just... It's a staggering event when you think on the scale of the amount of people who come and the amount of vendors who show up to such a small area like that. I mean, it's a compressed mess.
Yeah, but
I think it favors somebody. I think the Mount Airy Chamber of Commerce is rewarded well for that. It's their signature.
Yeah.
Fundraiser and event, and people love it. I mean, obviously, you wouldn't get those kind of numbers if they didn't enjoy coming out and seeing the sights, the food, the music, the crafts,
Yeah,
the wineries.
It's good for everybody. Just we just have to be a little bit different that weekend, and we're not that different though. We're still true to ourselves.
I think that's true. We were true to ourselves, but it was still, the pacing was a challenge.
Sure, yeah. Well, I'm really proud of all the staff, except for maybe one. But yeah,
Except for that one, everybody great.
All right, so let's move on to the red, chef. And originally I had a Chenin pegged for this tasting, but we did one recently, so we're going to do a Primitivo. Something we haven't done in a while. I can't recall last time we did Primitivo. This grape is often confused with Zinfandel. Some people think that they are the same. I think they've since proven that they're not, but they are very similar in flavor profile without a doubt. One thing that I would say that separates Primitivo from Zinfandel is I find Zinfandels to be far bigger and jammier. So, but you still get those roasty, toasty fruit flavors, and there's still plenty of color here. And this is really one of the most famous red grapes of the southern part of Italy. You're talking about an area that is very, very warm, Mediterranean climate. And you can really taste that in these wines. Now, this happens to be a 2017, so now we're having something with a little bit of age on it.
It's got a little rest.
Not typical for us in the Primitivo world. We're usually drinking them that are 1 or 2 years old. And so this was certainly worth dipping our toes into to explore the ageability of Primitivo. Now, still very fresh on the nose.
Super fresh.
Mm-hmm. That classic Primitivo.
You can smell the dust on it. The dust, the rust. It's almost like a Rutherford wine, or
This is pretty big for a Primitivo. It's hard to get a color on this. I'm sorry, but it has a little bit darker than most Primitivos that we've served at the restaurant. Looking down the glass, it's pretty. You can see right through it, but for the angle on way our daylight is here tonight, this time of night, it is a little bit more difficult to see that in your video, but you'll see it in your glass as you pour it. Wonderful flavors here, Chef. I mean, how tasty is that?
Leather and tobacco all over this. You know, it's smelling, and it smells like a cab, but it drinks like a true Primitivo.
Really, I get these on the nose. I get these dried dates.
Oh,
I mean, it reminds me so much of dates. A lot of times,
and dried everything.
A lot of times I get fig off of Primitivo and Zinfandels, but this to me is really, for whatever reason, I'm getting date.
But the Italian Primitivos, you know, Australia is really, well, at least they used to. Australia loves to pick up Primitivo. I've had a lot of Australian Primitivos, which are huge. But I mean, most varietals transplanted to Australia are.
Good Lord, there's some alcohol in here, Chef.
Yeah, it's a true story. So
wow.
This is a.
This is humming in. It says 14, but I think it's higher.
Yeah, that's a guesstimate.
I think maybe 4 years ago it might have had, but I feel like I don't know if it's possible to have an
it's
alcohol
almost fortified
rise in the bottle. Yeah, it almost comes across that way.
It really does.
It almost like, to me, if you took a tawny and a ruby and poured them together.
There you go.
You get some of that oxidative part,
oxidative
and
qualities.
you still get some of that ruby fresh fruit. And I think
that's what you'd have right here.
Yeah. Man, that nose, I'm haunted by it. It's beautiful.
Well, and it lingers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you know, a lot of times you get the bouquet from the glass. You get it and it's gone. This has a lingering effect in the nose.
Big time alcohol, but boy, it's so polished at the same time.
It doesn't drink big at all. So even though you're going to notice that, I mean, it doesn't in any way drink big. I mean, hot.
Right.
At all.
Yeah, it's not enough to deter you.
It's actually very subtle.
It's really, really delicious and packed.
For a big nose like that, it's subtle.
It really does release an intensity of flavor in the mid palate. It really, fruit. It lights up all the taste buds about mid palate, but then it goes into a really nice finish,
It's a
and then
buttery
it
finish.
it cleans pretty quickly. It cleans up really nicely.
It sticks. It's
Yeah.
buttery. It's got a clingability to it that I like on the finish. That leaves you satisfied. Not that you're not ready for the next sip, but it's a very satisfying coating from this wine. It's delicious.
Yeah, Chef, what are we gonna pair with this beauty?
Well, we're gonna revisit our old friend Hickory Grove.
All right.
So a little story for you. Sad story. Anne Zaxelby, who is widely considered the queen champion of American cheeses, passed away yesterday. And she had a very famous cheese shop in New York. Started as just a humble little corner shop and grew into something bigger. But she championed American craft cheeses, artisan cheeses, during a time where you could only get French and European cheeses. And so she is widely credited with bringing the farm to table cheese to America, to the New York restaurant scene, and it spread from there. She passed away at a terribly young age of 40 yesterday from a heart condition. But we're going to pay homage to her by pairing with this beautiful artisan, local American North Carolina cheese. And Chef, we got that with a salami, however you want to call it, which is called cherry pie, which is from American Butcher. And so dried cherries, which is going to pick up on the Primitivo so well. So we're going to get the fat from the salumi itself, but the dried cherries, of course, Hickory Grove, known for its nuttiness and creaminess, an aged cow's milk cheese from the heart of North Carolina here in Chapel Hill. I just think it's a beautiful pairing. We love the dried fruit with the Primitivo because we're picking up so many of the dried fruits on the nose and palate. But however, the fat from the cheese and the salumi is going to bring it right home. But we at Old North State are also champions of American everything, American artisan cheesemakers, farmers, artisans of all renown. And so we believe that we can compete with anybody. And certainly the charcuterie coming out of American Butcher in Georgia and cheeses all around our great state are going to compete with anyone in the world. And this is a great example of that.
Yeah, absolutely delicious. Wow. What I can say here is you have this beautiful pairing here that really matches intensity. So you have something that's it's really interesting because this, I feel like it gets almost rich but then finishes very clean. And I found the exact same thing happening here with our cheese and salumi. It was like all that fat. But once it dissipates, it's nice and clean and gone. Just like this Primitivo, it comes on with all kinds of intensity, but then finishes so clean.
Yeah, it's not spicy sopressata. I mean, that's a high-end, well-crafted, well-thought-out salumi, and the dried sweetness and character from the cherries really carries it to another level. And we've always admired the Hickory Grove, which I think is the best offering from Chapel Hill Creamery. We'll probably spend more time on Looking Glass and Prodigal and Saskatchewan, but with Chapel Hill being a larger operation for an artisan thing, but I think their Hickory Grove is just world class.
Really awesome.
And their Calvander.
There's a nuttiness that comes out of the wine.
It pulls it out.
Yeah, I didn't know there was any nuttiness in this wine until after the pairing.
Until you get the cheese, just like it's like smacks you and goes, oh.
And I think I failed to mention the producer here, San Marzano, which is actually a co-op of 16 different families, much in the way that ONS was started.
Oh, yeah, like the 36 vines or 38.
Yeah. So it's certainly something that is co-ops are alive and well when the time is right, and then they can also turn into a single proprietor. So we've seen things. We've talked about negotiants, and now we've also talked about co-ops, and there's just so many different ways to be in the wine industry, and you don't have to stick to one thing. You can change it as you go along, and I just love how organic wine life is.
It is. You can see, like, whatever fits at that time, go with it. And if it doesn't fit a few years down the road, and like the Village, I mean the Macon Village, I mean those are village wines.
Absolutely.
Everybody brings their wine in, and it's very much a collaboration and co-op.
They basically, for every 30 farmers, there's one winemaker. I mean, I'm not saying each one has 30. One might have 60. One might have 10.
Yeah.
But on average, you're looking at a 30-to-1 ratio. And those winemakers do a great job of representing that area for its Chardonnays. And they've got something there, but now you're going to also start to see some of the farmers make their own wine and take it to market without the use of a cooperative winemaker. So they're transitioning and changing.
It's all wonderful.
Yep, and it's all good.
And for distinct and individual reasons, they should all be celebrated.
Absolutely. And boy, these wines and these pairings, Chef, should be celebrated as well.
Celebrate them.
I hope that y'all are enjoying them as much as I am. I am spoiled. I love it.
And we want to keep him that way.
Mm-hmm.
When he's happy, the wine's flowing.
The wine keeps flowing. And every single week we are going to have more delicious wines for you to try. And boy, I had another great tasting week. Even though it was autumn leaves, I snuck in a lot of tastings.
I saw you up there on a line of bottles, and I was...
It was an inopportune time,
what's going
but I made
on
time.
over there?
I made
professional mix time.
Yeah, for you guys. So
the devotion.
Right. So Ed and Chris here for you, doing our part, eating and drinking delicious things so that you can share with us the beautiful ride of great culinary experiences. Hey, we hope to see you in person when you can, but when you can't, we love having you here too. It means the world to us to be able to reach out to you and stay connected.
And we'll see you in person when you pick up your wonderful kits and wines. So
that's right.
Everybody wins, and you can enjoy this video at your own pace at a time of your choosing. And you
can watch it over and over.
Like we do.
Yeah, narcissistic a little bit.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Hey guys.
My dogs love it.
We love y'all. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Take care. Thanks for all you do.